Good evening, you're watching the Buck Stops Here Weekend Edition. I'm Amitabh Revi. 69 years since independence and 69 years on relying on the country's servicemen and women to defend our borders, airspace and coastline. But since the genesis of one rank, one pension in the 1970s, governments have come and gone, but no implementation so far. Now, Minister of State for External Affairs and ex-Army Chief General VK Singh's daughter is appealing to her father to also join the protesters. So is the government embarrassed as pressure is building up? Well, our newsmaker of the day is Milani Singh, the daughter of the ex-Army Chief and now Minister of State for External Affairs, and she has joined those protests today. We spoke to her earlier. Ms. Singh, what really made you join the one rank, one pension protest today?
I believe in the cause. I believe that this is something that we must give to our veterans, our ex-servicemen. I'm an ex-serviceman's daughter, an ex-serviceman's daughter-in-law, an ex-serviceman's granddaughter, and I completely believe that one rank, one pension should be implemented as soon as possible.
The Prime Minister, the Defence Minister, the government in fact has assured one rank, one pension. It's just a question of when is what they say. So why have you joined now?
See, I think the assurance has come, but no time frame has come. So we are all waiting for a time frame, we are all waiting for an announcement, and I hope that the Honourable Prime Minister announces it soon so that our veterans who are on an indefinite hunger strike are able to go home, and we are all waiting for an announcement from him.
But are you joining because there is a fear that maybe the government could backtrack on the definition or the cutoff here?
See, I really don't know what the government is defining it as, but I really definitely know what the veterans are defining it as. I hope that a common ground is reached soon and a solution is found.
Ms. Milani Singh, do you share the view among some, especially those who are protesting ex-servicemen, women, widows, family members, that bureaucrats are possibly putting a spanner in the works?
I surely share this view. I do feel that the bureaucrats are putting a spanner in the works.
Now, there was a lot of emotion after the Prime Minister really didn't announce a timeline on Independence Day. Then the hunger strike to death was announced, but talks have to a certain extent diffused the situation. Protesters are promising not to escalate it. But is the situation still volatile among those who you are meeting?
I think, the veterans will not get volatile. They will not do anything which was going to disturb peace. But yes, it's disheartening to see how 70-year-old, 80-year-old, 90-year-old people are sitting on an indefinite hunger strike. It's definitely alarming. I mean, here is an army which has stood by the nation every time the nation has wanted something. It's time that we as a nation return to the veterans, to the cause of the veterans.
Sure, there's nobody who's questioning that, returning to the veterans. But you are probably protesting in your personal capacity. But being a union minister's daughter brings, would you say, a new high-profile image to the protests and embarrasses the government?
I really don't know. That's for you to decide, because I came here to show support, travelled from Hisar, going back, and I do hope that my coming here makes a difference. I do hope that media gives them due attention. I hope that the government takes notice, and I hope one rank, one pension is announced as soon as possible.
Ms. Singh, your father is an ex-Army Chief. He is, of course, a Minister of State in the Union Cabinet. Now, what does he really feel about one rank, one pension?
My father has written a letter to the Prime Minister. He has also met the Prime Minister on several occasions about it. On my conversation with him, I was assured that it's going to be implemented soon. The government is trying to find a way. But I surely hope that this is the time frame is reached at, and the veterans are looked after.
Sure, but you are protesting. Your father is a central minister. Whatever you say, it still seems like you are protesting against the government that your father is part of.
My dad is an ex-serviceman first, and I think that's the reason I'm here.
So do you and those others who are protesting there Do they feel that the country really doesn't treasure its ex-servicemen?
I think, you know, what we are coming out today is as an ungrateful nation. We need to look after our soldier. We need to actually look at ourselves, introspect, and see where we've gone wrong.
Where we've gone wrong, now the government is planning and already has started, in fact, celebrating 50 years of the victory against Pakistan. On the one hand, that's what's happening. On the other hand, there's so much dismay among the veterans. Isn't there completely different messages that are being sent out?
I hope it's announced earlier than that, because then it becomes a celebration. Otherwise, our veterans are sitting here on a hunger strike. The government is celebrating something. It's less of a celebration and more of a protest on our part.
A protest on your part if it's not a celebration, if OROP is not announced by then. I have to ask you this. Your father is a union minister. He has been an ex-army chief. He feels the pulse of servicemen, ex-servicemen. Will you ask your father, who's now a union minister in the cabinet, to join those protests?
Oh, I will definitely ask him. I haven't met him today. Came here straight. Going back, but I will speak to him on the telephone. I will request him to join in, if possible. I will also request the Prime Minister to please visit our veterans, if possible, sir. And our Raksha Mantri, Manohar Parrikar ji, should also visit the veterans. It's just a humble request on my part. I hope the government takes notice.
Ms. Milani Singh, thank you so much for joining us there. You have joined those protests at Jantar Mantar. To discuss this, joining us from the capital is Group Captain VK Gandhi. He is the General Secretary of the Indian Ex-Servicemen's Movement. Also in our Delhi studios, Tom Vadakan, spokesperson of the Congress, Sambit Patra, the spokesperson of the BJP. Tom Vadakan, is this a real embarrassment for the government? Because finally she does say that she will ask somebody who is of course her father, but now a minister, to join those protests.
Her DNA is clearly military. She is speaking for the soldiers. She's got that gut, she's done it, and I congratulate her for that, because ultimately she has spoken on a personal capacity or whatever, the family opinion. And
I think also saying her father is first an ex-serviceman.
I think we are proud of her, because this is one step when you feel a youngster has stepped out of the line of thinking and has come in public domain and has asked for, and she said, we would appear to be an ungrateful nation. This is definitely a conscience break. I'm sorry, this is a sad day. My friend from the Bharatiya Janata Party would ask me questions of history.
Sure.
But let's forget history. You're in power. You have made this a hype. You promised them. Wherever General VK Singh was going, when the Prime Minister was present, you reiterated that you would do it. Now please deliver. It is by right they need it. You are not doing any charity.
But
this is not an auction.
They are saying, the government is saying they will deliver.
What is the timeline?
Sambit Patra, the timeline there. Is this an embarrassment? Because Ms. Milani Singh is saying that she will ask her father, who's the union minister, to join those protests. We don't know what his stand will be. She also mentioned that he has written several letters to the Prime Minister and met him as well.
See, Amitabh, though I may be the spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, but keeping that attire aside, it's really saddening to see people of our father's age, in fact, more than our father's age and mother's age, on the streets, wanting their rights. It's not that they're fighting for something which is not their right. They're fighting for something which is their absolute right. And believe me, whichever party we may belong to, we may be spokespersons, politicians or otherwise, but it's a very painful sight. And who does not want that the OROP should be delivered, should become a fact, in fact, at the earliest possible stroke? And that's what none other than the Prime Minister himself has been reiterating. See, the Prime Minister, before becoming the Prime Minister, spoke about one rank, one pension from Haryana. After becoming the Prime Minister, through Man Ki Baat, he reiterated that he stands by it, and most vehemently and in a very ardent pattern, as recent as 15th of August from the ramparts of the Lal Killa, he mentioned that it is not just the Prime Minister, not just Mr. Modi who is saying it. It is a man who represents 125 crore Indians standing beneath the tricolor, the representation of India, who promises that we are
In principle.
principally in with OROP. Please have some patience.
In principle, still no timeline.
And see, I as a spokesperson, I'm no one to give you a timeline.
Right,
No?
sure.
So I should not be speaking
Fair
something
enough.
which I'm not entitled for.
Fair
But
enough.
I can see that very painful, and I also share the pain, the anguish of the people. And as Tom said, I would not visit the history again and again, and I would not put him into a spot because this is not the right time to play politics.
Right. Not the right time to play politics. Group Captain VK Gandhi, if I can bring you in, has Mrs. Milani Singh joining this protest kept the flag flying, so as to speak, in terms of keeping the idea in focus? Group Captain Gandhi, can you hear? Raghav Chadha of the Aam Aadmi Party is also joining us. Mr. Chadha, I do know two of your MLAs. One has already joined, one will be joining, who has been an NSG commando, who has in fact taken part in the operations in 26/11. But would it be fair to say that the Aam Aadmi Party, though it is in favor of a one rank, one pension, because it's not really in power, it doesn't have the power to implement this, hence it can take the position it is doing?
Well, you see, Amitabh, the modalities of implementation, or whether a government is, able to implement it or not, is not the question. The question is that the previous government, the UPA government, had promised OROP. This Prime Minister and this government have also promised ORAP, and it is now up to them to roll out the OROP. They are almost 1.5 years into their government. They are still unable to work out the modalities. The Raksha Mantri is saying there are some financial implications. The Defense Minister, the Finance Minister is saying there is some arithmetic translation. The Prime Minister is saying nothing at all. So there is a lot of ambiguity, and and nobody in the country is sure as to when will and how will OROP be rolled out, looking at the current state of things. It is with a very deep sense of anguish that every Indian today is viewing this failure of the central government, of its principal poll promise of delivering on OROP. And let us also forget that there is, let us also not forget that there is a very serious consequence of this entire episode, and that is that it has caused a great damage to the morale and self-esteem of our serving Jawans, serving officers in the armed forces. It has led to erosion of confidence in the relationship between the government and the armed forces, and it has also damaged the credibility of the promises made by Prime Minister Modi. On one hand, they have money to dole out packages to poll-bound states like Bihar. On the other hand, they say we don't have 8,400 crores to, make OROP a reality.
So, Raghav, let me take that point to Sambit Patra, the point that you're making there. Let me take that point to Sambit Patra. 8,500 crore, they still haven't arrived at a figure, but that's the figure that's been doing the rounds, Sambit Patra. But still, the Prime Minister can announce a 1.25 lakh crore package for Bihar before elections?
See, Amitabh, I feel, as I told you in the very beginning, I do not want to politicize the issue, but I feel very saddened when people try to derive political dividends out of such issues. Anyhow, since I am in power, the government is ours. We are the ones who have to answer the questions that you're posing to us. Well, yes, it's not that Bihar's 1.25 lakh crore package is a dole given to the people of Bihar to win elections. No, Amitabh. Poor people of Bihar, the governance has to go hand in hand. Everyone has to be cared for.
Sure.
So it's not that government is compromised on any part.
Sure.
Just a second. Even the poorest of poor of Bihar also, of Kerala as well, of Orissa also, they deserve to live with dignity. So it's the job of the government, it's the duty of the government to see to it that this is done. As far as OROP is concerned, I'm absolutely maintaining the fact that it's the right of the people. This government principally stands by it. The arithmetic of it, 8,700 crores or 14,000 crores, whatever the amount is, it is 40 years versus 1 year. Just imagine, the homework had not been done probably. So the arithmetic calculations, the nitty-gritty are being worked out. Had it not been that it had some complications, why would anyone, for God's sake, any government,
that's
try
the
to roll
point.
it out?
That's the point, Sambit Patra, that many are raising, that why was that promise made if the whole picture was not understood.